Hello, boys and girls. I should not be up at this time and I should not be attempting to do a video, but I was watching the review of my biosemiotics video, which had the bad audio and the bad drawing, on Maddox's channel 2 nights ago. I finally started watching it. It must be addressed, and we're going to go through it probably a little bit out of order, but it's very interesting. The Brotherhood, the bros, the sexist assholes that run in that circle need a talking to. So we'll go through it. They completely missed the point of my biosemiotics video. Now, that was an educational video to explain to us and them and everyone some basics of biosemiotics, because it's not something that they teach you in 7th grade. Most people don't know, probably don't care what semiotics is. And I went through and I think I did a really good job of explaining it. And they seemed to think it was some sort of a rebuttal. And it was really cool to watch them listening to me. And I seemed to be agreeing with them the whole time. And actually, for the parts that they get right, they find something in science and they say, "Oh my God, we found this thing in science, and therefore there must be God." Well, the thing that they find in science, we agree with them, right? Biosemiotics is a real remarkable thing. It's I've got a book here that I could maybe show you a little later that talks about Barbieri and the whole bunch that got into biosemiotics and sort of made sort of a revolution in biology, or they're trying to anyway, but it's provocative. I agree with it totally. I always have. And that's what kills me about Maddox. He starts talking about something that I've been looking at since 2010, I think, when Deacon's book came out. And it shocks him that basically I got there quite a while ago, John. So fuck you, John. Anyway, let's see. We'll play a little bit of this. There's one thing I kind of want to address right away, and that's this. Let's see what John knows about genetics. Now, I said that the codon AUG was coded for methionine, and I didn't mention that it's also the start codon. Listen to this.
Well, and here's the other thing, is that AUG in...
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
It means start, doesn't it, Maddox?
Well, that's the thing, is in eukaryotes, and not all, but the majority of eukaryotes, it means start. But in other organisms, it means something entirely different. So, in the context...
And he didn't know enough to remember that it's methionine in these other organisms, but no, it is both a start codon and it codes for methionine. And you have to know, I guess that would be just like probably the very earliest thing you figure out in genetics and molecular biology, is that it codes for both. But of course, John, thought he had a point there.
Of the semantics, ladies and gentlemen,
The
and
semantics.
the additional reading capacity that is required for the information processing of the code, if the same freaking codon anticodon match can be equal to an entirely different amino acid, then this means that it has been programmed to equal this and to be interpreted as the appropriate one inside of the overall syntactic relationships that have been assigned for that particular type of organism. Does that compute? Does that make sense?
Therefore, God. And that's the part that they don't get. They're telling us about biology. Oh, it's complicated. And we'll have Otangelo go on and on and on about how complicated it is. And he'll go on for 10 goddamn hours if you let him. And we're like, yeah, we know this. We read the same stuff. Otangelo, John, Smokey, Icky, whatever the hell you are. We just don't see the connection. It's complicated, therefore God. It's semantics, therefore God. It's pragmatics, therefore God. Anyway, we'll go back to the beginning here and see the. We will leave the parts of my video out, hopefully, and we'll get down to this. So they start talking about the video, and I'm not sure if they say anything important here. Oh my God, are you kidding me? You can't do that. You can't beach ball on me now. It's not allowed.
Coward
Oh,
cockroach.
let's try again. We'll try again with a little refresh.
So, Mini, I'm about to put. There's a link in the description. I'm about to put it,
Oh, this is funny.
I'm about
sorry.
to put it in live chat. You're welcome to come in.
I found Speed's video he did this morning, and I made it 2 minutes through, and I have literally about 8 empty assertions and not a single argument yet.
And then he goes and lists the empty assertions. I forget. I think I was calling them idiots, or I don't know. Assertions, yeah. Basically I was making a comment overall about their understanding of the subject matter and their arguments in general. I certainly wasn't about to list all these things and then debunk them. So I don't know where.
Why don't we let's observe a little bit of.
Oh, let's pull it up. Okay, here, yeah. Let me share my screen. Give me
Let's
a second.
observe.
I'm thinking about something too. This is hilarious. Let's go ahead.
Just
and play
hilarious.
This. Right.
I don't think Smokey understood it the first time he went through it. Let's see. We had Saturday night at the Atheist, and that's not necessary. But anyway, they go on and they something cool is I made a sales pitch for my channel, and this is funny because I agree with them. I mean,
This is that's the worst sales pitch I've ever heard. Please subscribe because I'm gonna die soon.
And that is exactly the effect that one would want out of such a thing. But yeah, that is pretty funny. I'm gonna die soon, so subscribe to my channel. That's kind of gonna be my byline, I think. Subscribe. I'm gonna die soon. So then, of course, they have to bring their assholishness, their vitriol out right here. I mean,
This is that's the worst sales pitch I've ever heard.
oh, I'm sorry.
Please subscribe. We think Dan is basically nothing but a garbage used car salesman. So why you? We think Dan is basically nothing but a garbage used car salesman. So why are you sending us to him? Why don't you tell? If you think the argument's so stinking good, why you got to send us to his channel?
Because his argument is so damn good. That's why. I mentioned Dr. Dan Stern Cardinal's wonderful takedown videos that he does on creation myths, and I will have to remember to link that in the. I'm sure all you guys know about him already anyway, but I'm going to link his videos anyway. He did him and Dapper Dino and Just a Walking Fish and T.D. Lane tonight tore down Standing for Truth so wonderfully, so thoroughly that I don't think Standing for Truth should ever show his face again. I mean, he cannot possibly continue with the same arguments after the amount of logic they applied to him tonight. And then I was referring to some earlier videos where Dr. Dan did the same thing. And then, of course, they were offended by that. So why would I bother re-explaining it when Dr. Dan has better production values? He's a teacher. He teaches at a prestigious college, really prestigious. And they're calling him a trash used car salesman. Smokey, guy who lives in a hut in a desert with a bunch of toads, and John, who apparently drives an Uber. I mean, there's nothing wrong with driving an Uber. I'm sorry, I don't want to offend anybody on that. But he's trying to make himself out to be somebody who can go up against a geneticist and call him a trash used car salesman. Come on, guys. Let's do better than this.
You're going to send everyone over to his channel for the argument, Speed. What the hell?
Let's see. What do I have here?
We think Dan is basically nothing but a garbage used car
Oh, wait a
salesman.
minute.
So why you sending? We think Dan is basically nothing
Oh,
but a
my
garbage
goodness.
used car salesman. So why you
I'm
sending us?
To write in 1905.
Yeah, very good.
Okay, so Otangelo was making the case here that Einstein wrote papers, and there was some comment about them using old papers, and Otangelo made the point that Einstein's papers are pretty valid, written in 1905. But in biology, when a newer paper comes out, when you can get a hold of a newer paper on a subject, you look at that first. You start there. You can go back and look at some historical stuff, but you don't cherry pick from the past. And that was addressed on Dapper Dino's channel tonight also. So I think I clipped that right there. Now, here's what I'm basically explaining biosemiotics, and I feel kind of bad because I think I actually taught them biosemiotics or semiotics, because I don't think they knew anything about it before. I've never heard John talk about this triangle and the relationship, and this is core to that concept. So anyway, if anybody, the idea for this video that I did was to teach it to lay people that need to know this stuff in order to understand how wrong these creationists are. So you need to know some of their jargon and some of the stuff that they're misusing. And biosemiotics is something that they are misusing horribly. They've hit upon something that has a bunch of verbiage that they can put together. And John, he's like a parrot who you taught 100 words, and he'll put together all of this complete nonsense, just garbled garbage, and he'll spit it out, and the Brotherhood will say, "Whoa, wow, oh, ah," because they don't know what the hell he just said. Nobody does. You can't even parse the sentence, let alone pick out the garbage. And I can show you examples, and we are going to on Saturday Night at the Atheist. We have transcripts of some of John's most brilliant statements, and we're going to go over them. And we want to see you defend them, John. We want to see you write them up and stand in front of a board of professors and show us what they think of you. Anyway. Oh, hang on a second. I have to get a chat. I thought I would invite you anyway, just in case you wanted to come on. So anyway, let's see where we're going next. So I go through the science stuff, and let's see. I'm not sure if there's
Indeed. Theory of relativity. Yeah, you know what? It just desperation. Just desperation.
Yeah,
Thanks,
desperation.
Thanks, many Karen, showing that you're willing to be the same desperate trash as Speed. Appreciate that.
Another way.
I had a lot of fun tonight. Thank you very much.
Oh, we don't care about that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, what's the shelf life of their peer review?
Through this, wasn't he waiting?
Stuff. I'm wondering. I'm intrigued to see where he goes with this.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's like very,
Want to try anywhere?
I want to see where he's going. Yeah,
I want to try and see.
I mean, I know exactly what he's talking about, and I'm very
right.
interested. This is
Sure
like
you
very
do,
surface
John.
level stuff. I'm wondering. I'm intrigued to see where he goes with this.
Okay.
Yeah, the signed vehicle. John knows all about this stuff. How come he's never actually explained it to his little team the way I just did here? Let's see, 2807. So,
Good Lord, not every single aspect of this, but it's called semantics, bro.
not everything about what did he say?
Names, you know, I can show you. These are some additional things. These are they use this in biology. I can show you. So it's like this triangle word, and it means, you know, a tree, that sort of thing. So it's like this triangle relationship all the time, and I can show you how they use this in biology. Okay.
I don't know. He says that not everything about that is semantics, and he's completely wrong. The semantics, syntax, and pragmatics plays out along that triangle. And of course, he had to try to pretend that he actually knows something about biosemiotics. I really doubt that he does. If you do, John, come on my channel. We'll discuss it. We'll have a long talk. It'll be good. Let's see. Where do we go next? We seem to jump ahead to 233. I think they let me explain for a while.
Get all of this
no kidding.
teaching stuff.
No
Now-
kidding, Speed.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mentioned that I'm not very good at this. Oh, no kidding, Speed. You got to pick on that shit. Well, then I go ahead and I explain this paper here. And in this paper, in Pelk's critical response, he actually says that we cannot look at this as an intelligence communicating with an intelligence. That is a very narrow view of semiotics, and certainly not the view that they're using in biosemiotics. The entire set of papers and books that have been written on biosemiotics make it very clear that nothing supernatural and no intelligent is ever intended. This is something that they add to it, and they add it without basically any argument. They just spit it out. It's programming, therefore God. It's ridiculous. And the reason it's so hard to come back at these guys is because they never actually make an argument. Everything it's begging the question. Everything is buried in the premise. They create if you were to create a syllogism in the very first, in the premise, they put basically their conclusion right there, and that is begging the question. And so they really don't have any content. All they do is they spit biology at you and put words together. And John is scared to talk to me because he knows he's going to get his goddamn ass kicked like he did during the debate I did with him on Standing for Truth. He did not expect me to know what semiotics was and to know what all of these authors were and to have all the damn papers at my hands. So let's see where we go here. 233. We'll go to 236 and see. Oh, here's Dum Dum Dum, the heart of Dum Dum Dum.
Was there a point? I don't know if I heard one. Was there a point?
Well, okay.
Yeah, the point was I was explaining semiotics to lay people so that they don't have to go read all the goddamn books. That's the point. The point was not to refute you guys. The point was to get ready to refute you guys.
Okay, so the problem with, and this is indicative of the standard atheists, like just blinders. They're completely refusing to comprehend the premise that the gradient and
he really overuses the word premise, and it really drives me crazy. You know, it's a word from logic. You don't have to use it 50 goddamn times a night, John.
different sensory mechanisms in the amoeba that enables it to react require information processing capacity.
Okay, I'm not gonna let him do that. Where is it? Let's see. Okay, the premise, to comprehend the premise that the gradient and the different sensory mechanisms in the amoeba. Oh, let's see. I'm not sure.
That is formulated via prescriptive information requirement for those mechanisms which enable the information processing. This is the entire point.
So that pile of English mangling there, I don't know what the hell he's saying. That's the point. Let's see. That for some reason it translated something as, it enables it to react, require information processing capacity that is formulated via prescriptive information requirement for those mechanisms which enable information processing. This is, I mean, you idiot. Learn how to talk. Yeah, learn how to make a point. Okay, the amoeba is a chemical thing, right? And in it, it has all of this processing, and that is all chemical reactions happening there if you were to reduce it at that to that level. But it still fits into this biosemiotic triangle, and we don't want to leave it reduced, basically. That's the whole point of biosemiotics. We want to look at these dynamic systems, but it's still, at the end of the day, God's little fingers aren't in there programming the amoeba, you know? Of course, they think it was programmed in DNA. I'm going to do a video. I did a video yesterday, which I have to edit, that talks about God's little fingers and what they think and what the confusion is over some of this stuff. But let's see where he goes.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, is he trying to prove creationism here right now? Like,
here's the
because
thing.
it almost sounded like.
See, because to them, when you describe something with words, to them that proves creationism. To them, I don't know. It doesn't to us. We are not compelled by these arguments, and they don't fucking get that, and that's why they claim we never rebut them. We never come back at them. Well, we can't because they don't have anything. They have no argument. You can't just go from if A, then B without some connection between A and B that makes B happen every time A happens. It's called, an inferential connection, basically. There has to be an argument made for that connection. You can't just say syntax, pragmatics, and semantics, therefore God. You cannot do that. You have to tell us how it's therefore God. And of course, they believe it was too complicated to have evolved. Oh no, this amoeba who runs into a gradient that tells it that it has higher pH than as it moves along, that couldn't possibly have happened naturally. So that's, oh God, that's all they got.
Like that's what he was doing. Like he's actually like making the case. Yeah, this is required. This would be needed for an intelligent agent, and this is what they say. And then he like gives like no argument to the contrary. Like I'm confused.
Well, apparently,
because you're talking about biology. Fuck it.
Passing John's special rendition of gene regulation around to some actual geneticists.
Oh,
go for it, bro.
Oh yeah, I got that. I have that little clip where he talks about and the really interesting thing. Should I pull that up during this? I don't know. It's 2:30 in the morning. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm rambling. Should I pull that up? That is a really interesting little quote. I mentioned it on the Godless Engineer interview. We looked at it, and I think we're going to save it for Saturday night. But he says the stupidest thing about gene regulation and retrotranscriptase somehow sticking the RNA back into the gene. And it turns out that Standing for Truth had that in his book somewhere, and I have to find that before Saturday night. But they mentioned it on Dapper Dino's channel tonight. But I mean, they spewed out complete garbage, and I thought John just pulled it out of his ass. But apparently, he read Standing's ridiculous book where he makes the same claim. I have to investigate, and I think he's referring to that right here. Now this is where he comes up with the Goodwill Hunting thing where he imagines himself going in front of professors, me and him, and being judged by these professors, and at the end they will hand him his honorary PhD, and his smiling face, he'll be marching out, PhD in hand, and I'll be like sad trash clown.
Let's find out if my logic is incorrect.
Oh, your logic.
I mean, Speed, you talk all this trash. Apparently, I'm going to win a prize for that one alone. Well, given the fact, Pudding, that I can back up my claims directly from literature published by geneticists, I guess whichever ones you find.
Okay, I think it's literally literature, John. Literally literature.
Find which claim that I am false. Let's talk to them directly, and let's get them.
He wants to find out if he's false. I could go with that
on video. I will bring up the positions from where I derive my arguments, and they can publicly say that the authors of those positions are categorically false and are making things up. Let's see how big those cojones are.
Here we go. Cojones, testicular fortitude. These guys refer to their balls over and over and over again, and he refers to other people's balls way too often. And of course, the weather report this morning, I talked about his ridiculous challenge where he wants me to come to Nashville, and I'm pretty sure he's got a van and some duct tape waiting for me. It's like, John, I don't ever fucking want to meet you in person, ever, anywhere. Just get it out of your head.
When they have to publicly claim that their peers are 100% false in the context of logic gates and such in
Logic gates, they don't call them logic gates. I'm sorry. In biochemistry, I don't know, maybe somebody does, but they shouldn't. A logic gate is an actual silicon chip. It works on 0 or 5 volts, representing binary, 0 or 1, which John also gets wrong. He doesn't even know the code for the letter A. He keeps using, I think, DC2 hex 11, and he keeps repeating it 01 0001. It's just like, anyway, I digress. He drives me nuts.
I look forward to that.
Indeed.
Me
too. Look forward to that.
Me too.
And yeah.
So their claim is that pragmatics writes the programming that's not there, and which is required for evolution, for one thing to become another thing, to become another thing, to become another thing, to become another thing. It's all pragmatics writing instruction that's not there.
Okay.
So their claim is that pragmatics writes the programming that's not there, and which is required for evolution, for one thing to become another thing, to become another thing, to become another thing, to become another thing. It's all pragmatics writing instruction that's not there.
Yeah, that wasn't very brilliant. Whatever the hell that was. That was pretty cool. Let's see what else we got.
He has his few styles. If you listen to him,
Is he going to refute it? So he was summarizing the talking point, and now he's going to refute it, right?
I don't know.
No.
I'm very fascinated to you.
Not
So
the point.
far, he's just proving my point.
So far, I think all he's done is prove the necessity of creationism by going through this paper. Am I
Exactly how did I prove the necessity of creationism? By explaining how tRNA and DNA and all of that works. I don't see their inference. They do not make the point, but they think they do. It's so embedded in their little brains. Their whole goddamn background comes from the Bible. Why they would believe that piece of crap from 2,000 years ago? I mean, I've never read that damn thing, and I never will. I'm sure there are some gems in it, but my God, it is not a science book, my friends. And you don't start there. They start at the Bible, and they see everything as creationism, and that's kind of what's gone wrong here.
Am I losing it here? Did he where's the argument?
you're
Speed, you might
losing
want
it.
to come
You are
in and
losing
explain
it.
where the argument was, because we can't find it.
Let's just keep going. Let's see what he's. I'm very fascinated to see what he comes up with.
doing the same things over and over again. Syntax, semantics, and pragmatics. Well, semantics is the relationship of signs to other signs. Semantics.
No, that's syntax.
Yeah.
Excuse me, that's syntax.
Yeah. And he agreed with me, but I was wrong. So I said, excuse me, it's syntax. So syntax is over here. It's, I don't think, maybe you can see my mouse. It's the relationship of one sign to another. That would be syntax. So like if you put together something in programming, you have multiple signs basically, and that's syntax. And semantics is semantics is up here where the RNA is interpreted, and that's the meaning basically of the codon. The meaning of the AUG codon is either methionine or a start. It's also the start of translation for a protein. So very often, you'll almost all the time, methionine is the first amino acid in a protein because it's equivalent to the start. So anyway, that is semantics. That's the meaning. And then down here, the referent, that is the pragmatics. That's the work that gets done with the sign. You see the bear track, you interpret it with your knowledge of bear tracks, and you run away from the bear down here. So those three things. I know I'm belaboring that point. If you watch the semiotics video, is a little hard to listen to because of the audio, but I think it's important going forward in debates to decode what these guys are saying. And now I taught it to them, so they're going to use it against us.
semantics is up here. So this is semantics. This is the meaning.
The meaning.
Okay.
Yep. What it's equal to. Yep.
And relationship of, you know, if you have a number of signs, it could be a relationship with one sign to another.
Baby steps. Baby steps.
Intact over here. Okay. And the pragmatics is kind of down here with what.
Yeah, we know what all it is, Speed.
No, you don't, Smokey. You don't know shit about semiotics. I bet you don't. I bet I taught it to you. I mean, I've never heard you really articulate this, nor have I heard John. So don't go claiming you fucking know. You do now because I taught it to you.
We're waiting for the argument.
Protein chain. So biosemiotics and the Royal Society papers, we're going to be going over one tomorrow. If I can.
Anyway, that's pretty much it. I don't know. They trail off here, and at some point they attack Kerry, who is a wonderful person from Israel, who did just an excellent job. And we're probably going to go over this at some point. The interaction with him. And he eventually decided that he had had enough of their abuse, especially when Smokey started went off on him because of his particular beliefs or lack of beliefs. And I think that pretty much covers it. But I had to watch that and see if they had. It's really interesting. They thought it was like a refutation of John or whatever. And actually, it was a preliminary to understanding what we are talking about when we're talking about information and biosemiotics in the cell. And this whole business of, is it a code? Is it not a code? You know, you can say, yes, it is, and no, it isn't. It's a code in this way, in this analytical way of taking apart language and codes and understanding how codes work. But it's not a code in the sense that one human created a code or an intelligence created a code. It is not a code in that sense. And that is not what all of this is about. That's not what the Royal Society issue was about. And it's going to take some looking into, because Muncher, Beta Wolf here, is going to go on about this for the next 5 years. Yeah, they really exhibit Christian values when they talk. You can see it when they talk to this very nice man who, very intelligent comments, very calm, did not insult them, and they end up just basically going after him in the end. And I think that was at, I'm not sure where that was at, maybe 247? I don't know.
People that want to come in, especially Speed of stupid meth pudding.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Okay, I'm an addict. 13 years in recovery over my life, my entire using alcohol and the whole addiction thing amounted to about 15 years. I'm 69 years old. I have spent decades sober in basically in a 12-step program and helping other people, other addicts, and they have to keep bringing it up. I like Ass Muncher. I mean, yeah, I guess I'm being rude back in it, but then I'm not claiming to be this, you know, wonderful, loving Christian. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't call them ass munchers. Should I call John an ass muncher? Let's take an opinion poll on that. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think I marked. I did not mark where. Okay, I'll have to bookmark the Kerry stuff where they treated him very badly. And we will go over that. So I'm pretty tired. I really should go to sleep, but I'm drinking coffee. Anyway, that's it. The team watched a video, and I think it surprised them. I don't know why, because they're idiots. Okay, I'm going to take off. Oh, so Ian votes for Ass Muncher. Good. We'll take a poll. We'll determine. Good night, guys.